How is it going? I hope you're doing well, and thank you for tuning this video. Today, I'm here with my review of Night 2 of WWE WrestleMania 37. Let's go ahead and dive right in the show, which of course kicked things off with Randy Orton taking on The Fiend. A badass entrance from The Fiend here, transitioning from the burnt-up Fiend back into the regular Fiend. Alexa Bliss summoning him with the Jack in the Box and everything. I thought the entire presentation of The Fiend's entrance was fantastic. But unfortunately, that's where things hit the peak, because this match sucked. The Fiend, jumps off the box on the Randy Orton. They brawl for a good little while in the ring to the outside. Orton's supposed on the announce table, but of course, the Fiend's no-selling everything. No-sells a DDT into the ring. Typical Fiend stuff. And then Orton goes for the RKO, puts him into the Mandible Claw, which allows him to set up for Sister Abigail. But once he does that, Alexa Bliss appears on top of the Jack in the Box, but then black liquid comes out of her forehead. I don't know what the fuck's going on. That distracts the Fiend, which allows Randy Orton to hit one RKO on the Fiend, and 1, 2, 3. Randy Orton defeats the Fiend in the opening match of WrestleMania. How? All that build, all that anticipation of the Fiend, and you just fucking beat him again. I'm so over the Fiend. That character is dead in the water, as far as I can see, or at least in my opinion. I don't care for it anymore. You've beaten him so many times at this point. Like, does anyone even care for the character? How can you have him lose so easily and so effortlessly? And of course, afterwards, after the match, he gets up like nothing happened and just disappears. So, yeah, the entrance was the only thing good about this match, and that was it. I don't understand why the Fiend lost, and the match, like I said, it sucked. Their match at WrestleMania 33 wasn't any good, and somehow they were able to have a worse match than that. So, yeah, it was just a recipe for disaster to begin with. And then following that match, we're going to the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship match. Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax defending against, of course, the winners of the Tag Team Turmoil match from last night, which were Tamina and Natalya. The match itself, I thought, was fine. I really wasn't into it, but the crowd was pretty invested into it. It seemed like Natalya had the crowd behind her. You got a hot tag to Tamina, which she had the crowd behind her as well. I thought Tamina, I wouldn't say had a really good performance, but probably the best performance of her career. And I'm not taking any shots at her, but she hasn't really had many good performances in her career, so that's not really saying much that she had that good of a performance. But I thought she shined. She had her moment, her WrestleMania moment, I should say. Got some nice near falls, but there was some sloppiness, some miscommunications. Just the flow of this match was very inconsistent. I felt like there was moments where the match was going well, and then it kind of felt like it was going off the rails. Especially the spot where Nia was on the second rope and did the crossbody. Tamina and Natalya just both stood there for like 20 minutes waiting for the spot to happen. So didn't really enjoy that, but what can you do? But can result, Shayna Baszler locks in the clutch on, I believe, Natalya, which leads them to get the submission victory. So Shayna and Nia retain the women's tag team titles. Like I said, it was a whatever match. It was too inconsistent for my personal liking, but the crowd was into it. So what can you do? And then following that match, we had Kevin Owens taking on Sami Zayn, a match that everyone has been waiting years for it to happen at WrestleMania. Of course, you have Sami Zayn's special guest, Logan Paul, who thankfully did not do anything in the match, which I'm glad he didn't. I was hoping that WWE would not allow him to do anything and just wait for anything to involve him to be afterwards, and that's, thankfully what they did. And yeah, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, one-on-one WrestleMania for the first time, and they went there and delivered. They didn't get very much time, which I'm surprised a lot of these matches didn't get a lot of time on this show. A lot of them were, no more than 10 minutes. And this match, I think, was like 8 or 9 minutes. So it didn't get a whole lot of time. They definitely utilized that time the best of their abilities. They had a full-on sprint. Right from the get-go, Kevin Owens immediately hitting a pop-up powerbomb with Sami Zayn. Match goes back into the outside. Kevin Owens going up for the pop-up, going for a powerbomb under the apron, but Sami Zayn fights out of it. Sami Zayn hits a brainbuster on the apron on Kevin Owens, ends up picking another one in the ring. So a lot of great transitions and counters from both men, just beating the holy hell out of each other. One spot I loved when Owens went for the stunner, but Sami Zayn beautifully countered it into a Blue Thunder Bomb for a nice near fall. So these two obviously just know each other so well, and I thought they were able to go out there and put on a great, 8 to 9 minute match at WrestleMania. The finish was great too. Owens hitting a clothesline in the corner, and as he went for the other corner, Sami Zayn hit him with a Hoover kick, but then Owens fell down onto was falling down, and then Zayn caught him, completely replicating the Battleground 2016 finish, which JBL, who was on commentary, pointed out, which popped me huge because I was really glad that they mentioned that. It's a great callback to that moment. But then, of course, Sami Zayn trying to go for it again. But Kevin Owens ends up hitting him with a super kick, ends up hitting a stunner on Sami Zayn. 1, 2, 3. Kevin Owens gets the win over Sami Zayn. Like I said, for the time they got, I thought they put on a great match. And, yeah, I was very pleased with it. And of course, afterwards, you know, Logan Paul is cheering for Kevin Owens. Sami Zayn's all pissed at, you know, Logan Paul for cheering for him. And then, you know, afterwards, Sami Zayn walks out, and then Kevin Owens gives Logan Paul a stunner to an Austin-like pop. The crowd lost their fucking minds to for the stunner on Logan Paul. So, yeah, all around, I was happy with everything. Logan Paul didn't overstay his welcome, didn't ruin anything, and took a pretty good stunner. So, yeah, I was very, very pleased with everything Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn related on the show. And then following that match, we go into the United States Championship match. Riddle defending against Sheamus, and this was a hard-hitting fucking brawl. These two beat the holy shit out of each other, and I loved absolutely every second of it. Sheamus gave Riddle one of the biggest hard fucking knees I've ever seen in my entire life. I thought he fucking killed Riddle. Riddle seemed like he was out of it, and I thought it was great. Riddle ended up hitting the Bro Hammer onto Sheamus, which set up the Bro Derek for a near fall. These two were just absolutely trading blows and trading finishes, trading near falls as well. There was a lot of 2.9 counts in this match. So Sheamus and Riddle went out there and just had an excellent brawl, I thought, and the finish was absolutely spectacular. You know, unfortunately, Sheamus was going for a top rope white noise, but Sheamus fell down in the process, but that they improvised pretty well. But then Riddle went for a springboard senton. You know, he did a springboard off the ropes, and then Sheamus just hits a fucking beautiful bro kick. The timing of the spot was fucking perfect. Hits a huge fucking bro kick on Riddle, and 1, 2, 3. Sheamus is a brand new United States champion. Yeah, great match. Was not mad at all for Sheamus winning. I was just more surprised because I thought for sure they'd have Riddle win it, because that's WWE's way. They go 50-50 all the time. So to see them commit to Sheamus beating Riddle was a surprise to me. But you know what? Sheamus deserves it. The last few months he's had with, you know, guys like Riddle and McIntyre and whatnot and Lashley, he's been putting on these phenomenal matches. So I think Sheamus definitely deserves, you know, getting a moment at WrestleMania. I know he's had, you know, a handful of them already, but he definitely deserved this United States Championship, if you ask me. So I was very happy with Sheamus winning. I was very happy with the matches as well. So great stuff all around. And then, of course, we go into the Nigerian drum fight for the Intercontinental Championship. Apollo Crews challenging Big E for the championship. And honestly, I thought it was a fun little 5 or 6 minute match. Again, very, very short. Right from the get-go, both men were brawling at it. Big E immediately hits his apron spear onto the outside onto Apollo. So immediately, you know, they're immediately hitting these big moves. They're wailing each other with kendo sticks. Big E hits a huge Uranagi off the apron onto the steel steps onto on Apollo, which Apollo's just selling the shit out of it. It looks like he can barely even stand. And back in the ring, you know, Big E's setting up for the big ending. But he ends up hitting it. Ends up hitting the big ending on Apollo. But who other than Dabba-Kato coming out of nowhere to attack Big E, which it's hilarious because Dabba-Kato comes out and they're selling on commentary like, oh, who's this big giant man? Who is this big mystery figure? It's like, dude, he's been on TV. He's literally on your website, on your profile page. It's like, why are you going to play it as if no one's ever seen this man on TV before? So Dabba-Kato, obviously he's going to change his name and whatnot and be a new character, but Dabba-Kato emerges to help Apollo Crews win the Intercontinental Championship from Big E. Like I said, I thought it was a solid match for what it was. Didn't really utilize stipulation. You know, they used the weapons, but I don't know. I would have preferred more of a brawl before Dabba-Kato came out, but what can you do? But yeah, Apollo Crews, brand new Intercontinental Champion, no problem with it. Just wish the match would have gotten more time. And then following that, we had the Raw Women's Championship match. Rhea Ripley challenging Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship. And honestly, I wasn't feeling this match. To me, it just wasn't clicking. It wasn't bad or anything, but I just wasn't feeling it. You know, I just wasn't really into it completely. I feel like it just, I don't know. Rhea Ripley and Asuka just wasn't that spark I was expecting from both of them. So it wasn't a bad match by any means, like I said, but I just felt like something was missing and it didn't have that spark for me like I was explaining. And I didn't really feel like I was into the match either towards the end of it. once they started exchanging some blows, you know, Asuka was getting some near falls on Rhea. Rhea was getting some near falls on Asuka. So the last few minutes, the match started picking up the pace and it started getting interesting. And, you know, Asuka hit some kicks. Was going for one more kick, but Rhea Ripley dodged it and ended up countering it into the Riptide and hit it on Asuka for the 1, 2, 3. So Rhea Ripley is your brand new Raw Women's Champion. And, you know, I wasn't surprised by it, but I just wasn't expecting it this soon. I was kind of hoping they would hold off on it, give Asuka her WrestleMania moment, and that way Rhea Ripley can, you know, chase her down the line and eventually beat her. But to immediately beat Asuka with Rhea Ripley and give her the title, I don't know. Like I said in my predictions, I just would have preferred more of a build rather than a hot shot for Rhea. But if they're trying to give her a huge push, I'm not going to complain about it. But I just, like I said, it was just more for that. I wanted Asuka to get a WrestleMania moment than anything. So Rhea Ripley wins the Raw Women's Championship. Solid match. Ended up being, just like I said, to me, I just wasn't clicking for me personally. So what can you do? Then we had Titus and Hogan coming out to do another segment. They were interrupted by Bayley, who were then interrupted by the Bella Twins. The Bellas laid out Bayley. Completely useless segment. Don't understand the point of it. It is what it is. And then, of course, we go to the main event, which was the triple threat match for the Universal Championship. Roman Reigns defending against Edge and Daniel Bryan. And what a fucking main event this was. This match was fucking perfect. It was everything I wanted it to be. And the story these three men were able to tell were tremendous. You know, the spots they were doing, the freaking false finishes as well. They were just able to cram everything in, and I thought it was awesome. You know, immediately Jey Uso, you know, tried to capitalize on a no DQ stipulation by super kicking Daniel Bryan and Edge. You know, him and Roman were trying to take him out immediately, but Edge ended up taking on Jey Uso, ended up giving him a DDT onto the ring steps. So that was a way to utilize and eliminate Jey Uso right from the get-go. So I thought that was great booking right there. Match spilled back into the ring. All three competitors going all out. Love the spot where Edge and Roman Reigns went for the double spear and they both just collided and bounced right off of each other. Thought that was great. Daniel Bryan took both men out. At one point, just beating the shit out of both of them. Bryan just laying in forearms to Edge. Match spilled on the outside with Reigns and Edge, where Roman Reigns powerbombed Daniel Bryan through the announce table on top of the steps. And as he was posing, talking shit, Edge, you know, hugely speared Roman Reigns off to the steps. You know, right off of the powerbomb. So that there was another great spot. Just a lot of great moments filled in this match. One great spot as well was Edge locking in the crossface and using a pole to extend on Roman's face. And as it's happening, Bryan comes in, locks in the yes lock on Reigns, and Edge and Bryan are just hitting each other, trying to get the other person to let go as Reigns in the middle, kind of suffering between the two. Just tremendous spot right there. When it came down to it, Edge get a beautiful near fall as well, hitting a spear on Roman, but Bryan was able to break it up. And then, you know, once you thought Bryan got taken out of the ring, Bryan pulls the referee out when Edge almost got a victory over Roman Reigns. I think everyone thought that was it right there, but, you know, Bryan was able to prevent it. And, towards the end of it, looked like Bryan, honestly, let's get to the point where it looked like anybody was going to win it. It looked like anybody was going to win, but Edge was going ape shit, hitting the chair to both Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan. But then Jey Uso came out to make the save, made his return to help Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns fights back, concertos Edge to take him out, and then dog piles Edge over Daniel Bryan and fucking just puts his hand over both of them and pins them like that. Fucking incredible finish. Phenomenal finish to what was an incredible main event for WrestleMania. I was, blown away by it. Honestly, I was jumping up. I was getting goosebumps. The finish was just spectacular. I was so happy with it. And it was something so simple, but the way it played out was just chef's kiss. That's how good it was. So, fantastic main event. Roman Reigns walks out still Universal Champion, which I thought was going to happen. No problem with it, especially the way it happened. The way he, like I said, he dogpiled both of them, showing the dominance. I thought it was a great way to end WrestleMania. I thought it was a phenomenal way to end, which I thought was a really good night too. You know, I thought WrestleMania, both nights this year were really good. When it comes down to it, if you're going down by both shows, I will say I thought night one was a better show of the two, which, you know, was surprising because I thought for sure night two would be the better one. But night one it felt special, and it felt like WrestleMania. And I'm not saying night 2 didn't feel that way, but I felt like night 2 just was kind of missing something that night 1 had, and maybe it's because of all the disastrous shit and chaotic moments that happened on night 1 that made it so unique and special. But I don't know, I just felt like something was missing on night 2 that night 1 somewhat had still. So it doesn't take anything away. I still thought night 2 was really, really fun. Honestly, when it comes to the match quality, I would say both shows are probably the same, but I will say the main event here I thought was better. I thought it had more of a story. Now, history-wise, obviously night 1 had the more history main event, and you know, with Bianca winning and everything, and just the 2 women main eventing in general. But I felt like match quality-wise, the main event here at night 2 was better than night 1. So yeah, that'll do it for my reviews for WrestleMania. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, please feel free to like below. And of course, next time, I'll see you guys, and thank you guys for watching the video.